What's up, everybody? We're back for yet another football preview. This time, breaking into the NFL, starting our NFL previews. I am the big man on campus from SBR Forum and SBRSportsPicks.com. Here with Ryan, Ryan, I guess you're going to become a guest to all these videos. You're my former partner in crime on the Big Men on Campus podcast. We're talking NFL today, starting with the AFC East. Going to do another video doing the NFC East. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Jeff. Thanks. I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I mean, we might as well just keep the train rolling here. We had some success with the Big Ten preview, with the ACC preview. So let's, dip our toe here into the NFL, into two divisions that, we pay pretty closely, starting here with the AFC East.
Yeah, we definitely do. And I know, obviously, we're Eagle fans, and we'll talk about the NFC East in a little, but AFC East, an interesting division. Obviously, it's been ruled by the Patriots for a while, Ryan. I mean, they've won 8 straight AFC East crowns, and I got to be honest, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. As long as Tom Brady's there, I don't think it's going to stop, Ryan, is it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, the one time they didn't win the division was the year that Brady got hurt. I mean, that's all you need to know, is the only time that another team can step up and win this division is when Tom Brady is not around. And I think that trend's only going to continue, that the only time the Dolphins, Bills, or Jets can win this division is when Brady and Belichick step aside. And that's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their odds. I mean, they're almost 9-1 or 1-9 to win this conference. So you're going to have to lay 900 to just win 100. So obviously the odds speak for themselves. And, they bring in Brandon Cooks from the New Orleans Saints and really just bolsters an offense that gets stronger. I mean, you look at last year, obviously winning the Super Bowl. I mean, you had the likes of Chris Hogan and Edelman and Amendola, but now you had Brandon Cooks, and it makes a scary offense just scarier. And, again, you get Gronkowski healthy. He was out for various parts of time last year. And you mentioned Tom Brady. I mean, as long as he's there, I don't think this team's going to have any trouble not only winning divisions, but winning conferences and indeed winning a Super Bowl. You look at defensively, I mean, I actually think they're pretty underrated defensively. They have a Coney Ealy. They bring him in from Carolina. They already have, the Donta Hightowers, the Rob Ninkoviches. The question mark is in the secondary. They add Stephen Gilmore, who is a nice addition. I believe he was with the Ravens, I think, at one point. I might be thinking of Crockett Gilmore. Ryan, where did Stephon Gilmore – the Bills.
The Bills, yep.
Very good. You look at that secondary, Patrick Chung, Malcolm Butler. I guess okay, not great. But obviously no one's going to bet this team to win the AFC East. There's just not a lot of odds. But, Ryan, I mean, do you think this team do you see him in the Super Bowl again this year?
Yeah, I think this could be as I was about to say, this could be a special year for the Patriots, but it seems like every year could be a special year for the Patriots. But I mean, when I say that, I mean, I think this team really could be a 1-2 loss team, really kind of maybe flirt with the undefeated season like they did a few years back when they had Randy Moss and had that run until they lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants. But the only reason I digress a little bit is the fact that they actually have a pretty difficult schedule this year. I mean, if you look up and down their schedule, they really do have some really tough spots that, I mean, week in and week out, if you're going through all these difficult games, you're going to slip up here sooner or later. So, but they're going to be fantastic. I mean, you talk about some of the additions they had. Stephon Gilmore is going to be a fantastic addition to pair up with Malcolm Butler, who they were able to retain. Coney Ealy, you mentioned, Hightower sticks around. So I like what they're doing. Then offensively, you mentioned they added Cooks. They also added Dwayne Allen, tight end, formerly with the Colts. Mike Gillislee, a running back that's been around. Adds them some options there, some depth. So I like what the Patriots are doing. They're obviously going to make a run. They're every year just one of the couple teams that, I mean, I think you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you just don't put a future in on them right away. I mean, really.
Yeah, you make very good points there, and I actually have 2 futures that I'm going to look at with them here. It's funny, Ryan, when I was down at the shore, I saw someone that I hadn't seen in a while. We got to talking about, sports betting and stuff. And, he asked me about the Patriots and, asked me, what do I think? And I said, well, I mean, what do you think I think? I mean, this team's the best every year. Again, most of the lines that I reference are from 5 dimes. For the Patriots, I have 2 futures. I'm going to go with them to win the Super Bowl at 4-1. You can get around 4-1. Actually, I'm getting 3.8-1 on 5 dimes. Look, I mean, I'm almost getting 4-1 on the Patriots. I think that's good enough. I mean, this team is virtually a lock every year to get to the championship game. I don't see any reason to throw them. And they're actually, to me, I mean, they've gotten much better. I mean, you mentioned some of the additions. I think Brandon Cooks is going to be a great addition to go along with some of the speedsters, Edelman and Gronk. This offense is going to be sick. And for me, I'm also going to go, Ryan, with the over 13 wins. You can actually get that at plus 150 at 5 dimes. I think this is a 14-win team. I mean, let's be real. And if they win 13, we get a push. But I think at plus 150, that's pretty good value. I think this is a 14, 15-win team, Ryan. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, like I said, the only thing that I could see kind of hindering them is the schedule. I mean, every game before week 9, which is their bye week, is they play a potential playoff team legitimately up besides the Jets in week 6. And then from November 12th, I believe it is, to the 17th, they play 6 games, and only one of those 6 is at home. So, I mean, at the end of the year, when you really need to put a little streak together and win some games, that's when you make your mark late in the season. They only have 1 home game in six games. So that kind of worries me a little bit. But, I mean, it's the Patriots, it's Belichick. You would expect them to be okay.
Yeah, and again, I think early on, I mean, you get the Texans, which, I think a lot of people are interested in, but you wonder where their quarterback situation is. I think the Falcons they'll beat just because I just think they're a better team. I think that slip-up games could be the Raiders or the Steelers late in the year that won at Pittsburgh right before Christmas. But, look, I mean, if I get 13, I'll push. I don't see them losing more than 3 games. I just don't. So for me, I'm going to go over 13 wins at plus 150, and I'm going to take a shot with the Patriots to win the Super Bowl at 3.8-1. Both those lines are at 5 dimes. Ryan, the second team, the Miami Dolphins, who I think a lot of people are wondering about this year. And look, I've heard grumblings that people don't like this team or whatever, and I hear you, but I got to tell you, I think offensively they're going to be pretty good. Ryan Tannehill's back. Who, look, you can say what you want about Tannehill. He's a decent NFL quarterback. He's a starter, which is, Ryan, what many teams struggle to find. He's a guy that you can insert, and he's going to give you a good year, be a guy that can command the offense. You look at the targets: Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills, Julius Thomas they added from Jacksonville. Jay Ajayi was a guy that resurged last year, Ryan. But the problem I have with them, I mean, you look at their schedule. I mean, Tampa Bay, Denver, Oakland, Baltimore, Tennessee, you get New England twice a year. Are they a playoff team? Possibly, but their schedule's tough, and I don't know that defensively they're very good. I mean, they have a nice defensive line or whatever, but I think the big problem that they made, Ryan, was giving Ndamukong Suh $100 million when you could have easily spent that on cornerbacks or something like that, or a high-level offensive player. What are your thoughts on the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, I mean, with the Dolphins, for me, it comes down to a couple of things. One, it comes down to the play of Ryan Tannehill. I mean, how big of a step can he take in his second year under Adam Gase, who's a very QB-friendly head coach? And 2, it's the schedule. I mean, let's call a spade here. The reason the Dolphins went to the playoffs last year was because of their schedule. I mean, their schedule last year was, I mean, literally week after week, they were playing cupcakes. I mean, really, with the exception of a couple teams inserted here and there. I mean, they were playing the Browns every week. I mean, the Jets and the Bills, who were lackluster. I mean, they're playing, some really, really bad teams just week in and week out. They're going to have obviously a tougher schedule this year. That happens from when you make the playoff the year before. And then, like I said, let's see how Tannehill does. I mean, Tannehill has to take a step forward. I mean, he has to. With the weapons that they had, the names that you mentioned, I mean, skill position wise, this is a very talented offense on paper. And if Jay Ajayi can run the ball like he ran the ball last year and take some pressure there off of Ryan Tannehill, there's no reason this offense, in my opinion, right now, in this league. Let's see what we get from the defense. But I think they're right on the cusp of like 8-9 wins, I think, this year, just because I think the schedule last year gave them a couple more wins than what they're going to get this year.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to make the playoffs. I really do. I think, and even, Ryan, look at that offensive line. I mean, all of a sudden they have a really nice offensive line with Tunsil protecting the blind side. Mike Pouncey's one of the better centers in the league. Jermon Bushrod, a veteran in this league, played a lot of his years with New Orleans. Juwan James, a right tackle. And then, you look at defensively, and again, I think the concern you have is in the secondary. I mean, what's Byron Maxwell going to give you? What's Nate Allen going to give you? It seems like a Eagles reunion, Ryan, in the secondary there. But you brought in William Hayes from the Rams, a good addition. You brought in Raekwon McMillan in the draft out of Ohio State, a guy that can play linebacker. You pair him with Kiko Alonso, who had a very good year last year. I think this is a pretty sneaky team. If they can just get stops in the passing game, I think they're going to be pretty good. And Ryan, you look at the backup quarterbacks to Tannehill. Matt Moore, Brandon Dowdy, remember him from Western Kentucky, and David Fales from San Jose State. So he'll be pressed. I think he'll have a good year. Good offensive weapons. I'm pretty high on the Dolphins. I think they're like you said, a 9 or 10 win team. I don't have any futures on them, but I do think from game to game they're going to be a good over bet and a team that can surprise a little bit. You look at their win total, Ryan, over 7.5 at plus 100. So even money seems a little conservative. You can actually take, Ryan, you think they're going to win 9 games. You could take over 8.5 at plus 243. So the markets are generally.
I would definitely think about taking that. Sure.
Yeah, the markets are generally, kind of soft on Miami. They're not very high on them. So, I mean, it looks pretty good this year for Miami. I don't really understand that right there. Another team that I'm decently high on is the Buffalo Bills, Ryan. I think this division is pretty good. I mean, other than the Jets, 3 really good teams, obviously with New England being the best. But Buffalo brings in, obviously, a new coach, Sean McDermott from the Carolina Panthers, and before that with our Philadelphia Eagles, Ryan, a defensive-minded guy. And I think Bills fans are just happy to get Rex Ryan and that clown show out of there. You're bringing a guy defensively that people really respect in this league. And I like what they did in the draft. I mean, you went out and got Tre'Davious White. You could pair him with Ronald Darby on the outside. You already have some really good players up front. You have Jerry Hughes, Marcel Darius, a really pretty good defense. And I think Tre'Davious White's going to be a nice addition to that group. You look at their offense. I mean, Tyrod Taylor continues to take steps forward. LaShawn McCoy, when not injured, taking steps forward. You pair Zay Jones, who I was a big fan of, Ryan, at ECU. And Zay Jones, if you don't know anything about him, what he does, Ryan, he just catches the football. That's what he does. He's a machine. He doesn't drop a lot of balls. No homo. And you pair him with Sammy Watkins, and all of a sudden you got a pretty good 1-2 combo there on the outside. I'm pretty high on the Bills, to be really honest with you. I think this team is gonna, from game to game, really kind of like Miami, definitely kind of be a thorn in some of these really good AFC team sides. And you look at their win total right now, Ryan, at 5 times, you can actually get over 7.5 wins at plus 178. And it's interesting because when I did my research for this, over 7.5 is at plus 202. So, I mean, it looks like money's coming in on Buffalo to have a pretty good season here. You can take over 8 wins at plus 328. I'm actually going to bet on this over 7.5 at plus 178. I think they win 8 games. I think them and Miami are going to battle it out in that wild card. I really do. I'm pretty high on Buffalo. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I'll be honest with you. I'm not as high on Buffalo as you are for just a couple reasons. I mean, really, one, to me, there's just too many ifs on this team. I mean, if you buy into Tyrod Taylor as a legit quarterback in this league, if Sammy Watkins can stay healthy, if LaShawn McCoy can stay healthy, if Sean McDermott can make the smooth transition at head coach, if the defense comes around, because the defense, I mean, that's kind of what Rex Ryan was supposed to be known for here in Buffalo. But if you look at the numbers, their defense last year was terrible, and a lot of these guys were signed to fit his scheme and Jim Schwartz's scheme there before him. So how's McDermott going to do with those players? Just a lot of what ifs. I mean, this is just, to me, your prototypical transition year for a young new head coach that I think is just going to win 5 or 6 games. Just my gut feeling. They have some potential on the roster to maybe make a run like you're seeing, Jeff, but I'm not sold into it just yet. They have a nice little start to the year with the first couple games that maybe they can kind of get some momentum and get rolling a little bit. That would be ideal for your situation. But for me, man, I'm not high on the Bills. I think this is just going to be a transition year. The biggest thing for me, man, and look, when we lived together, when we watched, NFL Sundays and we talked about the NFL, I mean, how many times did I bash Tyrod Taylor? I just don't like him. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in this league. I really don't. I don't think he's I don't think he's someone that can lead an NFL team to 9 wins, 8 wins. I'm just not me.
I'm hoping for an 8-8 year from this group. I mean, you get the Jets twice. I mean, you get you'll win a game against Miami, Saints. Who knows who you have there? You get the Chargers, Chiefs. Can you beat? Can you get a couple of those fringe wins? Can you beat the Panthers, who are rebuilding a little bit? I'm just a little bit more bullish, I think, maybe than some on this team. I think they're better than people might think, and I think Tyrod Taylor's made strides, let's say. But as far as I'm concerned, again, I think we're both going to agree it's the Patriots division to lose. Final team, which I'm not going to spend a ton of time on. Ryan, the New York Jets are 93-1 to win this conference.
Wow.
Or to win this division, and to be honest, I think they're the worst team in football. To be really honest with you, I don't really. If I'm a Jets fan, it's deplorable what this group continues to put on the field. I mean, Ryan, I'm not sure if you've looked at this team's depth chart yet, but it's amazingly poor. I mean, it's really astounding that a NFL team is putting this crap on the field. I mean, you look at this receiving core. I mean, Sharon Peake, Robbie Anderson, and Quincy Enunwa. I mean, what is that? You got Matt Forte, who's injured constantly. You can't draft quarterbacks. This team just can't do it. You look in the secondary, you got Jamal Adams, but who's going to play left cornerback? I mean, they don't even have a fucking left cornerback on this roster. You look at last year, 30th in the league in offense, 28th in defense. An ineptitude at drafting or taking anyone that affects this team, and the absolute arrogance to just constantly get rid of veteran players. I mean, how many veteran players has this team gotten rid of? Eric Decker, Brandon Marshall. You look at some of the defensive players they've gotten rid of with Darrelle Revis and others like that. I mean, what is this group doing? Will they win more than 2 or 3 games? I mean, you look at their current win total, Ryan, and I'm just getting that up right now. You look at them; they're at
like 5.5. I think 5.5.
I mean, to get interesting here, I mean, you can take under 4 at what are we at here? -121. Under 4.5 at -175. So, I mean, under 3.5. If you don't think they're going to win 3 games, which I think 3 is a stretch for this team, at +128. I just don't see more than 3 wins on the schedule. I mean, what's the story here with Buffalo, or with the Jets? I'm sorry.
With the Jets. I mean, I think it's just as simple as it's just not a good football team. I mean, really. I mean, they just have a ton of issues. I don't know if you heard they actually just drafted another quarterback. I mean, it seems like that's all they do is just. I mean, really. I mean, you bring in Josh McDowell, you draft Christian Hackenberg, who's everyone was so high on. Then you draft Bryce Petty, so you have an overloaded quarterback position. You hardly play any of them. It's like, what's the purpose here? I mean, I'm not sure what this team's trying to like what direction they're trying to go in. Like, like most teams, Jeff, they have like some sort of identity. I mean,
Well,
like
I think
you throw out a random team, you throw out any random team in the NFL, you could pretty much say what their identity is. This is a smash mouth football team. This is a team that wants to win on defense. This team that wants to outscore you. The Jets, I don't know what their identity is. It's like they still have some like pieces on the defensive line where they could, be a okay defense, but the back half is so poor that I don't think the front four can make up for it. And then offensively, they're just lost with no playmakers besides Bilal Powell, who's a fantasy sleeper, who I had last year and did great for me. Other than that, man, this 4 wins is the max for this team. 4 wins.
Yeah, I got to tell you,
4 wins.
I don't think they're winning 3. I mean, I don't see. And again, I've made the case on SBR that I think this team could really flirt with not winning a game at all. I mean, I don't really.
Well, they get the Browns. They get the Browns, Jeff.
Yeah, but it's at Cleveland. Cleveland's better.
They do get the Browns.
Right, but it's at Cleveland, and I think that's your one winnable game on this schedule. I mean, you look at, you play the Jags, you play the Bills, you play the Saints, the Chargers. They're all better football teams than you are. I got to tell you, I'm actively going to do this right now. I'm going to go under 2.5 wins at 243, plus 243. I don't see them winning more than 2 games. I just don't. I think this is a 2-14 team.
I mean, you look at the year going forward. If we're just kind of get the schedule in front of us and just look at the schedule from week 1 to all the way to the last game of the season, Jeff, they may be favored in one game, one maybe. I mean, the Browns maybe. Other than that, I mean, I can't see them being favored in. And I mean, maybe the Jaguars. If the Jaguars start off really poor and just kind of regress again. But I mean, really, they're in rough shape, dude. The Jets are in rough shape.
Yeah, I don't think there's any possible way they're favored in Cleveland. I mean, it's at Cleveland, and at that point, the Jets are probably going to be 0-5. So, it's going to be a tough year in New York. It's really kind of pathetic, and you wonder how long this can go.
Would you agree that under their win total is the best bet in this division? Even more so than over the Patriots win total? I think under Jets win total is the best bet in this division.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think under 4 at -121 might be the best bet in the league this year. I
love that.
I'm not really – again, I might see how much I can actually bet on that and bet on it because – I just don't see it with this team. I'd be really surprised if they win more than 3 games, let alone 4. So I mean, at worst, right. I mean, they're not winning 5 games. So at worst, you push. Yep. Yeah, it's ugly for the Jets. But just to conclude, I'm going to go Patriots plus 380 to win the Super Bowl. I'm also going to go with over 13.5 wins, which is at. Where are we at here? Plus 150. Over 13 wins, I'm sorry, plus 150. I'm also going to go with the Buffalo Bills over 7.5 at plus 178. And I'm going to go with the New York Jets at under 2.5 wins at plus 243. So plenty of value there. I'm going to keep track of all these, and we can't really not keep track of them because, Ryan, as we know, video and audio does not lie. So thanks for coming on, and stand by. We will do the NFC preview. Thanks for is there anything you wanted to throw out, Ryan, with this group?
No, not really. I just think the Patriots are going to be really, really good, like we said. I think the Jets are going to be really, really bad, and I think the Bills kind of have a transition year, kind of try to get some traction there offensively and pull it together defensively. And I think the Dolphins, year in and year out, and again this year, are that wild card team that a lot of people think maybe can push the Patriots. So we'll see what happens. But yeah. Always an interesting division is the AFC East, just because everyone's waiting to see who can dethrone the Patriots. But it'll be interesting to see, and just interesting to see what happens. Jeff, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ryan. We'll see you for the NFC East breakdown.